The money in your pocket is worth something because an institution declared it worth something, not because it is backed by gold, not because it represents a commodity, because an authority you have never met issued a declaration, and the declaration was accepted. That mechanism, the conversion of an institutional declaration into collective belief in symbolic value, is not a modern financial innovation. It is the oldest authority technology in Western institutional history. And the institution that perfected it was not a central bank, it was the papacy. In 2014, economic historian Christine Desan published Making Money, Coin, Currency and the Coming of Capitalism, the most comprehensive institutional history of money's legitimacy mechanics in the scholarly literature. Desan's central finding, the legitimacy of fiat currency, currency whose value derives from institutional declaration rather than commodity backing, was not invented by modern states. It was transmitted from the papal monetary authority system, which had operationalized declaration-based value for 6 centuries before the first national currency existed. By the end of this video, you will know exactly how the papal declaration system produced legitimate symbolic value, how that system's mechanics were transmitted into the fiat currency architecture that governs every currency in the world today, and why the dollar, the euro, and every other major currency in circulation is not a modern financial instrument. It is a secularized papal decree. The declaration was always the mechanism. The commodity was always the cover story. To understand how papal declaration mechanics entered fiat currency, you need to understand what a papal bull actually was, not theologically, but institutionally. A papal bull, named for the bulla, the lead seal authenticating the document, was the highest form of institutional declaration in medieval Western civilization. It was not a statement of opinion. It was a performative declaration, an utterance that, by virtue of being issued by the papacy, constituted the reality it described. Legal philosopher J.L. Austin documented the category of performative utterances in his 1962 work, How to Do Things with Words. Statements whose function is not to describe reality, but to constitute it. I now pronounce you married does not describe a marriage. It creates one. The papal bull operated on the same logic. The declaration of a territory's sovereignty, a person's sainthood, or an obligation's legitimacy did not describe those facts. It created them through the institutional authority of the issuing body. The fiat currency declaration operates on identical logic. This note is legal tender for all debts, public and private, does not describe the note's value. It constitutes it. The note is worth something because the declaration says it is worth something, and the declaration has authority because the institution that issued it has the institutional authority to make its declarations constitutive of reality. The mechanics are identical. The institution has changed. The transmission from papal declaration mechanics to fiat currency legitimacy ran through a specific documented historical sequence. The first stage was the papal indulgence system's monetization of declaration. The indulgence, the Church's declaration of remission from the temporal punishment due for sin, was the first large-scale Western experiment in declaration-based value creation. The indulgence had no commodity backing. It had no physical substance. It had value because the institution that issued it had the authority to declare that it had value. And that declaration was accepted because the institution's authority was embedded in the legal, social, and theological infrastructure of medieval European civilization. The indulgence system demonstrated, across 3 centuries of documented operation, that declaration-based value creation was viable at population scale. An institution with sufficient authority could issue declarations of value that were accepted as real, circulated as currency, and traded for goods and services, without any commodity backing whatsoever. This was the proof of concept for fiat currency. The second stage was the transmission through the Italian banking system. The Florentine banking families, the Medici, the Bardi, the Peruzzi, developed their financial instruments in direct institutional relationship with the papacy. The papacy was their primary client, their source of institutional authorization, and the model for their own declaration-based financial instruments. The Bill of Exchange, the foundational instrument of the European financial system, was a declaration of value, a document stating that a specific amount of value would be delivered at a specific future time and place. Its legitimacy derived not from commodity backing, but from the institutional authority of the issuing banking family, an authority that was itself derived from and legitimized by the banking family's relationship with the papal financial system. Economic historian Raymond de Roover documented in his 1948 study, Money, Banking and Credit in Medieval Bruges, that the legitimacy mechanics of the Bill of Exchange were directly modeled on the papal bull's declaration structure. The same performative logic, a declaration that constitutes the value it describes through the authority of the issuing institution, was transferred from papal administration to secular financial instruments through the documented professional relationship between the Florentine banking families and the papal curia. The third stage was the nationalization of the declaration authority. The Reformation's challenge to papal authority in the 16th century created a specific institutional vacuum. The declaration authority that had legitimized symbolic value across Western Europe was suddenly contested. The national states that emerged from the religious conflicts of the 16th and 17th centuries needed to claim an equivalent declaration authority to stabilize their own monetary systems. The solution, documented in the monetary history of England, France, and the Netherlands in the late 16th and early 17th centuries, was the transfer of the papal bull's legitimacy mechanics to the sovereign decree. The national currency was legitimized not by commodity backing but by sovereign declaration, a declaration whose authority claimed the same performative status as the papal bull, derived from the sovereign's position as the supreme institutional authority within the national territory. The Bank of England's 1694 Charter, the document that established the prototype of the modern central bank, transferred the declaration authority one further step, from sovereign to chartered institution. The Bank of England's notes were not backed by the sovereign's commodity holdings. They were backed by the bank's chartered authority to issue declarations of value that the state recognized as legitimate. The fiat currency system is this declaration authority, institutionalized, secularized, and distributed across a global network of central banks, each of which holds the charter-based declaration authority that the papacy originally developed and the national states subsequently inherited. Here is where the institutional transmission analysis produces a precise diagnostic for contemporary fiat currency legitimacy. The fiat currency's legitimacy rests on three pillars that are direct structural descendants of the papal declaration system. Wait, look at the structure again. The first pillar is institutional embeddedness. The papal bull's authority derived from the papacy's embeddedness in the legal, social, and theological infrastructure of medieval European civilization, an embeddedness so complete that challenging the bull's authority required challenging the entire institutional order that gave the papacy its authority. The fiat currency's authority derives from the same embeddedness. The dollar is legitimate because the entire legal, commercial, and social infrastructure of the United States economy is organized around its legitimacy. Challenging the dollar's value requires challenging the institutional order that produces that value, an order so comprehensive that the challenge is practically inconceivable for most participants in the system. The second pillar is declaration chain integrity. The papal bull's authority depended on the integrity of the declaration chain. The bull was valid because the Pope issued it. The Pope's declarations were valid because of apostolic succession. Apostolic succession was valid because of the theological framework that legitimized it. Break any link in the declaration chain and the bull's authority collapses. The fiat currency's authority depends on an equivalent declaration chain. The dollar is valid because the Federal Reserve issued it. The Federal Reserve's declarations are valid because of its congressional charter. The congressional charter is valid because of the constitutional framework that legitimizes it. The legitimacy is not in the paper, it is in the declaration chain. The third pillar is collective belief maintenance. The papal bull's authority ultimately rested on the collective belief of the population that accepted it, a belief maintained through the Church's continuous institutional presence in every domain of social life. The fiat currency's authority rests on the collective belief of the population that uses it, a belief maintained through the central bank's continuous institutional presence in every domain of economic life. The pattern does not stop there. The most significant contemporary parallel between papal declaration mechanics and fiat currency legitimacy is the response to authority challenge. When the papal declaration system's authority was challenged by heretics, by Protestant reformers, by competing institutional claimants, the Church's response was not to demonstrate the commodity backing of its declarations. It was to reassert the authority of the declaration chain through institutional enforcement. When the fiat currency system's authority is challenged by inflation, by sovereign debt crisis, by currency speculation, the central bank's response is not to demonstrate commodity backing. It is to reassert the authority of the declaration chain through institutional action, interest rate policy, quantitative easing, currency intervention. The mechanism of authority maintenance is identical. The institution maintaining it has changed. If this investigation is worth continuing, signal it. The algorithm reads that as a vote for independent analysis. Here is the applicable lens. The fiat currency's value is not a natural fact. It is a maintained institutional declaration, one that requires continuous institutional investment to sustain, and that is vulnerable to the same failure modes as every declaration-based authority system in history. The diagnostic question is not whether the currency in your pocket is backed by a commodity. It is not. The diagnostic question is, how robust is the declaration chain that produces this currency's legitimacy? How embedded is the institution that issues it in the infrastructure of social and economic life? And what are the documented historical failure modes of declaration-based value systems, the conditions under which collective belief in the declaration's authority breaks down? Those failure modes are documented. They have occurred in every declaration-based monetary system in recorded history that has faced a sufficient challenge to its institutional authority. The papacy's monetary authority collapsed when its institutional authority was successfully challenged by the Reformation. The sovereign currency systems of Weimar Germany, revolutionary France, and contemporary Venezuela all demonstrate the same failure mode. When collective belief in the declaration chain's authority collapses, the declaration's value collapses with it. The next video in this investigation will show you exactly what the documented preconditions for declaration chain authority collapse are, and which of those preconditions are currently present in the monetary systems of major economies. Subscribe, so you are there when it publishes. The question is not whether fiat currency inherited its legitimacy mechanics from papal decree. Desan's institutional history, Austin's performative declaration analysis, and de Roover's banking history all confirm that it did. The question is what happens to a declaration when the institution that issued it loses the authority to make its declarations constitutive of reality. This investigation was produced with AI-assisted research tools and human editorial oversight. All claims are grounded in documented historical and institutional sources. Transparency is part of the methodology.